I was locked up. But Snoop, Daz, and the rest of them, they did a song with one of the niggas from that side who was in the car. If that's Louis the Pac, shit. Motherfucker don't need that type of loyalty.
Furthermore, side by side, they stood until fresh instances ascended, spotlighting Snoop Dogg's involvement in Tupac's killing.
We never came to the hospital, period.
The long-standing transgression, captivating numerous fans with its enigma, has now ultimately been unraveled, allowing fans to bid farewell to this enigma forever. However, was Snoop Dogg truly implicated in Tupac's demise? And is he staring down a jail term as a consequence? Let's delve deeper to uncover the truth. Snoop Dogg's knowledge of Tupac's murder is not entirely new, as there have been previous allegations implicating Snoop in the incident. Death Row Records founder Suge Knight further substantiated these claims in an interview on the Gather Call podcast, where he openly challenged Snoop Dogg for answers. Knight, who was present in the car with Tupac on the fateful night of his fatal shooting in Las Vegas, remains somewhat skeptical about Snoop's involvement in the tragic event.
Daz was on a situation saying that Snoop told him they can't go to the fight, can't go to the club, can't go to Vegas. It's going to fuck shit up because something's going to happen, basically.
According to Knight, Snoop Dogg owes a significant explanation regarding Tupac's murder. He insists that a face-to-face conversation with his former associate is necessary to address these serious allegations. Knight underscores Tupac's generosity towards Snoop, providing him with a platform on his iconic album All Eyes on Me, and speaking highly of him. However, if the rumors are true, there will be a lot at stake for Snoop. One of the most startling claims made by Knight is that Snoop Dogg allegedly warned rapper Daz Dillinger not to accompany the Death Row team to Las Vegas on the pivotal night of September 7, 1996. Knight asserts that Snoop sensed something ominous was going to happen and advised Dillinger to stay away. This revelation stirs controversy and adds another layer of suspicion to the intricate case. Dillinger was on the scene, but that's not all. Knight also addressed comments made by Warren G on the popular podcast Drink Champs. Warren G recalled a moment when he and Snoop learned about Tupac's shooting via a Nextel radio while they were in Los Angeles.
Now, if all these people knew what was going on in the situation, nobody never commented or tell anybody that. So you're part of it. You part of that snake, you know what happened to you.
Knight questions why Snoop would have a radio if he wasn't present at the altercation and didn't have a security detail. These details, according to Knight, raise serious doubts about Snoop's involvement and his access to crucial information. Adding fuel to the fire, Knight alleges that Snoop never visited Tupac in the hospital after the shooting, despite Snoop's previous claims that he saw Tupac before he passed away. Snoop Dogg revealed in an interview, "He got tubes in him, and when I walked in, I could just feel that he wasn't even there, and I fainted. Then his mother helped me up and walked me to the restroom and had a conversation with me about being strong." However, as it turns out, he was simply fabricating the story. Snoop never actually visited the hospital, period. This inconsistency raises questions about Snoop's loyalty and his true intentions during that tumultuous time. As the narrative unfolds, Knight dropped another bombshell. He claimed that Snoop Dogg and Daz Dillinger collaborated on a song with one of Tupac's alleged assailants, DeAndre Smith. If he was truly close with Pac, how could he condone releasing a song with someone implicated in Pac's alleged murder? They collaborated with one of the from the opposing side who was present in the vehicle, and that's all part of that kind of just once. This implies a troubling connection between Snoop and those associated with Tupac's untimely demise. It's a topic that keeps resurfacing. Yeah, if all these individuals knew what was happening, no one ever mentioned harming anyone. So you're part of that deception. You know what's been going on with the deceiver. Nevertheless, why would Suge Knight harbor such strong convictions that Snoop was involved in Pac's murder? Especially considering the seemingly strong friendship between Snoop and Pac. To understand the dynamic between these three individuals, we must delve into their bond and history. It all began in 1992 when Snoop Dogg was signed to Death Row Records. Coming of age in the streets of Compton, California, where gang violence was prevalent, Snoop quickly established ties to the notorious Crips gang and embarked on his journey as a rapper at a young age. His skill and prowess as a rapper garnered the attention of record labels, ultimately leading to his signing with Death Row Records.
You know, Tupac is real creative. He basically be want to know what he want to do on his own videos, and you know, Snoop supports him. So, and I support them. So I don't try to make all the decisions. I give them the right to do it.
Despite the controversy surrounding his association with Suge Knight, Snoop Dogg made a significant impact after signing with Death Row Records in 1992. Later that same year, he released his debut album, Doggy Style. The album became an instant sensation, selling over 10 million copies worldwide and solidifying Snoop Dogg as a prominent figure in rap music. Tracks like Gin and Juice and What's My Name became iconic, cementing his position as a trailblazer in the rap genre. With his record-breaking albums, Snoop became the face of Death Row Records, and he was undoubtedly one to watch. His ability to seamlessly blend genres, coupled with his distinctive sound and lyrical prowess, resonated with audiences worldwide, propelling him to superstardom. However, in 1995, a young man burst onto the scene, altering the trajectory. His name, Tupac Shakur. A self-proclaimed gangster both in his music and his persona, Tupac Shakur was a formidable force, stirring controversy with his potent lyrics and thought-provoking messages. Meanwhile, Snoop Dogg, with his distinctive flow and laid-back style, was garnering attention for his undeniable talent. It was only a matter of time before their paths would cross, and when they did, it was nothing short of legendary. Fate intervened at a recording studio in Los Angeles, where Tupac and Snoop Dogg's destinies collided. Tupac was immersed in his groundbreaking album, All Eyes on Me, while Snoop Dogg, already a member of the Death Row Records family, was invited to collaborate on a track. The atmosphere in the studio crackled with energy as these two young artists, both on the brink of stardom, came together to create something truly special. Working side by side, a bond began to form between them. They quickly realized they shared a similar vision for their music, a desire to use their platform to shed light on the struggles of their communities and to inspire change. Their chemistry was undeniable, and it was evident that they brought out the best in each other creatively. Their friendship transcended the confines of the studio. Tupac and Snoop Dogg became close friends, supporting each other through the peaks and valleys of their careers. They stood by each other during personal hardships, providing a shoulder to lean on and words of encouragement. In an industry often marked by competitiveness and conflicts, their friendship served as a beacon of loyalty and authenticity. However, it wasn't just their shared love for music that bonded them. One surprising aspect of their friendship that intrigued many was their mutual passion for cannabis. During a rap party for Poetic Justice in 1999, the two shared a blunt. Snoop Dogg admitted that this was his most memorable blunt, and that it was Tupac who introduced him to smoking blunts. On that night, Pac passed me my most memorable blunt, a revelation that further solidified their bond. As their friendship blossomed, so did their influence on the hip-hop landscape. Tupac and Snoop Dogg's collaborations became anthems for a generation, resonating with fans worldwide. Their performances on stage were electrifying, embodying the essence of their friendship and the potency of their music. When Tupac and Snoop Dogg joined forces, magic ensued. Their chemistry was undeniable, and their collaborations became anthems for a generation. Tracks like Two of America's Most Wanted and Gangsta Party showcased their lyrical prowess and the raw energy they brought to the microphone. Their performances on stage were electrifying, captivating audiences with their undeniable talent and infectious energy. However, it wasn't just the energy and charisma they brought to their collaborations that made them special. It was the depth of their lyrics and the messages they conveyed. Tupac, known for his thought-provoking and socially conscious verses, and Snoop Dogg, with his smooth delivery and storytelling skills, complemented each other perfectly. Their music became a platform for addressing social issues, shedding light on the struggles of their communities and inspiring change. Tupac's affiliation with Death Row Records proved to be a lucrative business move for Suge Knight and beneficial for the artists as they continued to elevate the West Coast hip-hop scene. You know, Tupac is really innovative. He just wants to do what he wants to do on his own records, and Snoop backs him up. And I back them up. I don't try to dictate all the decisions. I give them the freedom to do what they want to do. However, this harmony soon soured.
But his aggression was towards me. So because I said, I'm cool with Puffy and Biggie doing the interview with you. Tupac took it as if I wasn't down with him no more, as if I was side-busted, as if I was scared. Death Row looked at me as like a traitor.
According to some accounts, Snoop began to feel jealous of Tupac, as Tupac's star began to rise within Death Row, overshadowing him. In an interview with The Art of Dialogue, Lom MB, a former executive of Death Row Records, stated that the dynamics at the record label began to shift after Tupac started gaining prominence. When Snoop beat that case, that's when the dynamics start changing around. You start hearing about Suge leaving, and then Pac was slowly but surely, you could say, taking over. However, this jealousy wasn't the sole reason for their falling out. The notorious East Coast-West Coast rivalry that dominated the hip-hop scene in the 1990s tested their friendship. As tensions escalated between the two coasts, Tupac and Snoop Dogg found themselves caught in the crossfire. The rift deepened after Snoop Dogg gave an interview on BET expressing his support for Biggie Smalls, Tupac's rival. Tupac perceived this as betrayal because, in gang culture, Tupac's enemies automatically became his friends' enemies. Since Snoop declared that he didn't dislike Tupac's enemies, he was considered the real enemy. The line was drawn and sides were chosen.
Normally on a private plane, it'd be Pac, his security, me, my security, Suge, and a couple of his homies. This time I go to the airport, my security walking with me. Suge like, hold up, they can't roll. They got it.
However, Snoop Dogg maintained that the conflict was senseless and that they were friends before they were ever enemies. We all used to hang out. I love Big and I love Pac, and both of them love me. So the way I see it, saying Biggie, yeah, because I'm with Pac. We were on the same, yeah, they rapping the same, we rapping. Just a stand-up guy. These were Snoop Dogg's sentiments shortly after leaving Death Row Records. When I was with Death Row Records, we made a lot of money, but Suge Knight controlled everything. Everything was in his name. He distributed the money. He gave you what he felt you should have. We got a lot of money, but it might not have been what we were supposed to have.
Tupac, and they do me like this. So I walk to the back of the plane, give me a blanket, grab me a knife.
Under Master P's No Limit Records, Snoop Dogg learned about ownership. These cars are in your name. This house is in your name. This record is in your name. You're going to go get you some business. You're going to go open up something. You're going to protect yourself as a businessman. That I wasn't taught at Death Row Records. All my cars were in Suge Knight's name. Wow, get pulled over by police. Oh yeah, Mr. Knight. Who? I'm not Mr. Knight. Wow, all my cars. And that's how you learn. Yeah, that's crazy. This was just a small reason why a record label and his artist would be at odds, especially during the 90s when the hip-hop scene was heated. Record labels like Death Row Records, founded in Los Angeles by ruthless CEO Suge Knight and top West Coast rapper and producer Dr. Dre, dominated the market during the 90s with a series of G-Funk classics, Dre's The Chronic, Snoop Dogg's Doggy Style, and Tupac's All Eyes on Me. However, while the artists and executives of Death Row Records were at the time some of the biggest names in hip-hop, harmony between them would be short-lived, as evidenced by the increasingly bitter feud between CEO Suge Knight and one of the label's biggest-selling stars, Snoop Dogg. Snoop Dogg's gangster credentials have never been in doubt. Before becoming a key player in West Coast gangsta rap, Snoop was a member of the Rolling 20s Crips and served prison time for cocaine possession while still a teenager. This would ultimately lead him back to hip-hop music, something he started as a young child. After getting out of prison, he teamed up with Nate Dogg and Warren G, Dr. Dre's stepbrother, to form a rap group called 213. They started selling mixtapes out of the trunk of a car, and that's how Dr. Dre heard Snoop Dogg and brought him in to work on his debut album, The Chronic. Snoop approached Death Row, but rumors say Suge wasn't pleased with the idea right away because they all came from different gangs: Snoop, the Crips, and Suge, Mob Pyrus. That didn't stop them from collaborating. Snoop drew from his experiences in crime and prison to inform his music authentically. On the 2 albums he recorded for Death Row Records, as well as the appearances he made on The Chronic, with Dre's prominence with NWA and Snoop's participation in The Chronic, Snoop, Dre, and Suge were distant. Snoop became one of the hottest rappers in the game overnight, and Death Row wanted to get his album out as soon as possible to keep the momentum up. But under the leadership of Suge Knight, Death Row Records soon became a caricature of itself, one where no one could be sure if art was imitating life or vice versa. It was while Snoop was wrapping up the album when he got caught up in a murder case that nearly ended his career before it ever really began. In August 1993, Snoop and his friends were chilling outside his apartment when a man named Philip Waldemariam came through and started causing trouble. Witnesses said that Philip threatened Snoop with a gun, and this wasn't the first time. Additionally, he had allegedly previously pointed a gun at Snoop's head during a different time at a music video shoot. When Philip and his crew drove off, Snoop and his friends got in his Jeep and chased them down. They found Philip at a nearby park, and the group started shouting back and forth. That's when Philip reached for his gun, and Snoop's bodyguard shot him before he could fire a shot. Snoop and his bodyguard both faced murder charges, and Snoop spent the next 2 years fighting the case. However, his name stood by him and supported him through the trial, or so we thought. Having been acquitted of a murder charge in 1996, Snoop reflected his newfound maturity on his second album. He didn't want to live with all the negativity around gang rap because he was now a father to a son and was ready to turn a new leaf. The Dog Father was a rebirth of me. I'm not going to glorify any of this negativity that Death Row thought I should do. I'm going to bring a positive side to music, Snoop revealed in an interview. He wanted to spread love, peace, and positivity. However, he was signed under the most notoriously ruthless record label that had proactively started waging the East and West Coast War. At that time, Tupac was in prison for sexual assault. Suge went to visit him in prison through Tupac's wife's associate. A few days later, Suge went on the Source Awards to offer support to Tupac while publicly dissing Puff and Biggie. And another thing I would like to say, any artist out there who wants to be an artist and wants to stay a star don't want to have to worry about the executive producer trying to be all in the videos, all on the records, dancing, Death Row.
We made a lot of fucking money, but Suge Knight controlled it all. Everything was in his name. He distributed the money, he passed it out, he gave you what he felt you should have. We got a lot of money, but it may not have been what we were supposed to have. On No Limit Records, Master P taught ownership. These cars are in your name. This house is in your name. This account is in your name. You're gonna go get you some business. You're gonna go open up something. You're gonna establish yourself as a businessman. Shit that I wasn't taught on Death Row Records. All my cars was in Suge Knight name.
Wow.
Get pulled over, police. Oh yeah, Mr. Knight, who? I'm not Mr. Knight.
Wow.
All my cars?
And that's how you found out?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
The East Coast-West Coast War was on, and everyone under Suge was obligated to offer support in the conflict. Essentially, anyone who was in support of Biggie was their enemy, corrupt. One of the artists signed under Death Row corroborated this during an interview with The Breakfast Club. Suge didn't like him, so he felt no one should like him, but we always rocked with Puff and Big every day, so we were caught in the middle, you know what I'm saying? Snoop wasn't rolling with this drama. According to him, the East Coast-West Coast conflict started because of the significant radio bias against the artists, and not because the 4 individuals hated each other. Basically, my perspective on the whole East Coast-West Coast thing is that you have West Coast radio stations that play East Coast music relentlessly, frequently. It's part of their programming. According to him, This discrimination bred animosity within their audiences, thinking the West Coast music wasn't cool enough to be on their radios and that it was all radio politics. His liberal thinking fell on deaf ears. The East Coast and West Coast rivalry, spearheaded by Suge, Tupac, Biggie, and Puff, escalated overnight, and Snoop couldn't stay at death row any longer. But that was just the tip of the iceberg. Other issues came to light as well. Snoop Dogg describes there being no accountability in the financial records. He said that Suge controlled all the money. The artist's sweat seemed to go into his pocket. In an interview with Elliott Wilson, Snoop went on to compare the difference in treatment between death row and no limit. One thing about him, when he was in charge of the business, he ran his business the way you really want to see a business run, to where everybody had something and everybody was accountable. So he wasn't just giving you nothing for free, you had to earn that, and when you earned it, you put it in your name. And he taught you how to earn it and how to lose it. So if you lost it, it's your fault. He mentioned that the other thing he liked about being with No Limit is being able to see his money. Nothing was hidden from him. Snoop claimed that when Sharia Knight, Suge's wife, was his manager, and David Kenner, Death Row and Knight's lawyer, negotiated for his contract, they negotiated terms for both sides. He felt that his legal troubles had trapped him into a contract he couldn't get out of, and Suge was in control of his life. He further stated that he couldn't receive any royalties until the legal fees from his murder trial were complete. Death Row had started recouping against Snoop's $5 million legal bill that the victory had been financed entirely on Suge's dime, sought to legally justify the label's stance in ceasing to pay Snoop while it recouped against the debt. This didn't silence the label's last marquee star. As a result, the tension between the two parties grew even more bitter as months passed. Snoop, however, fought for his rights, and even recalls when Dre, Daz, himself, and others felt they were not being fairly paid by Suge Knight and constantly felt Suge's wrath and negative atmosphere around the office. This further escalated, and in 1998, Snoop left Death Row claiming that he believed he was in danger. I definitely feel my life is in danger if I stay in Death Row Records. That's part of the reason why I'm leaving. After departing from Death Row Records in 1998 due to feeling endangered, Snoop found himself in a precarious situation. Suge Knight, the former owner of Death Row, allegedly put a hit out on Snoop's life. This threat, coupled with Suge's imprisonment for probation violation and the tragic death of Tupac, created a tumultuous period for Snoop. Despite these challenges, he decided to sign with Master P's No Limit Records, reflecting on his decision to enter the dangerous world of the music industry. Snoop acknowledged the risks involved. He understood that violence and threats were part of the West Coast scene, and it was a reality he had accepted when he chose his path. In an interview on The Breakfast Club, Snoop emphasized that he was aware of the dangers when he entered the industry. Despite the adversities and conflicts, Snoop harbored no ill will towards Suge Knight. In fact, he expressed a desire for reconciliation and peace with his former boss. Snoop recognized the impact that Suge had on his life and career, acknowledging the positive aspects amidst the negative portrayals. He credited Suge for changing his life and providing him with opportunities in the music industry. Despite the controversies and mistakes, Snoop maintained love and gratitude towards Suge for his contributions to his career and personal growth. In essence, Snoop's journey through the ups and downs of the music industry, particularly his experiences with Death Row Records and Suge Knight, highlighted the complexities and challenges faced by artists in the volatile world of hip-hop. Despite the conflicts and dangers, Snoop remained resilient, focused on his music, and sought reconciliation amidst the turmoil.